Everybody for tuning in to Coder Conversations. If you want to catch up on any previous episodes, visit us at www.coderconvos.com. I'm your host, Kevin, and I'm with.
Brian Russick, professional drummer, drum teacher based out of the Suffolk County, Long Island, New York area. If you'd like to book a lesson with me sometime, you can find me on the web at brianrussick.com.
And today we have Stefon Simmons, a web developer. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. So just to get it started, how did you get into the software industry?
Uh, ooh, yeah, that's a kind of a long story, I guess. I started looking into it around 2017, 2018, but I've always had a kind of a knack for, I guess, technology. I was first told that I could uh, be like an IT technician or something like that back in college. But I studied business management, so I wasn't really thinking about that really. Uh, it wasn't until maybe 2017, 2018 when I was working as a registrar for a school fulfillment television, and the CEO brought me to his office to like have a regular one-on-one meeting, and he was struggling with some HTML and CSS on one of our, I think it was our faculty and student orientation portal. I looked on his screen and I was like, oh, that looks familiar. That looks like MySpace. Like there's some stuff that used to update on
Yeah,
MySpace. So I
right.
was like, oh, I haven't seen that in years. Uh, and he was like, yeah, this is really frustrating me. Like, do you want to take a look at it? And I was like, sure. And I haven't touched that stuff in years. So
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
I really started looking into HTML, CSS, and how to do things, and I cleaned it up a lot. And then for my job as a registrar, I one of my responsibilities was to manage the student educational records. That's my main responsibility actually.
Okay.
But I did a lot of things at that job, and so to better manage the student educational records, I decided to learn SQL. And so SQL uh, got me looking into along the way on learning SQL. I heard about Python and things like that, like the data analytics realm. And I said, okay, that's interesting. But I didn't know what Python was. I didn't understand JavaScript. I knew HTML, CSS, and I knew SQL.
Right.
And I was building reports and things. And a coworker of mine who was studying data analytics, what was bouncing ideas off of for SQL, she told me that she went to a general assembly class that was free around the corner from where I work, and um, said that they were great teachers over there, and I should check them out. So I went over there and I took their Python class, and the Python class was great. I ended up taking a HTML CSS class to beef up my skills there, and ultimately I ended up doing a full time software engineering immersive program for 3 months in 2020. I did not foresee a global pandemic.
Yeah. I was just gonna say,
Right.
yeah, you're right. That's right before the pandemic hit.
It was March 2020 that
Yeah,
I signed up
March.
for this thing back in
Yeah,
maybe like January of that year, something like that, right? I left my
right.
job. I was like, I'm going to go full throttle
Yeah.
on this software career change.
Oh, that's rough.
Um, and so back in college, I remember not liking. Uh, I did not like online teaching. Thought it was very like there was a big barrier there.
Like disconnected.
It was very disconnected. Exactly. So I ended up loving it though. The format of it was great. Teachers were great. I did my 3 months. Um, as everybody did, I tried to look for jobs, but I guess I did good enough for them to want me back as a teaching assistant. So I did teaching assistants for in the evenings part time for a while, and still applying for jobs. And then I ended up being a daytime teacher assistant, and then I ended up teaching leading a full course, um, a unit of the course. So I was teaching React. Well, it's been years. React, Ruby on Rails, uh, SQL, Yeah, I think that was it. What was the back end? Yeah, Rails. Yeah.
Wow.
So I taught that full stack unit to a bunch of students, and around that time is when Datadog reached out to me and said that he had a position open. So I interviewed for them, and the rest is 4 years.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, I know around that time, the industry was still pretty open. I know things have changed, and now it's a lot harder to get in. But like, describe how it was trying to get that first job back then. Was
Yeah, it was not easy.
yeah,
It was not easy. I mean, it took me a year. I
Yeah.
was doing teaching assistants. I was teaching for a year.
Were you
Before
working
I
on
got it.
projects at that time?
I was working on a bunch of projects.
Okay.
I had the projects that I built in my software engineering immersive, and I also was doing projects on the side. I was doing small projects to help the students understand. So I was demoing different technologies.
Yeah.
So, and all that stuff, I was like, I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about how I work through the problems of using this technology. I wrote a couple articles on how to use it. I created a whole lesson plan for learning. I think it was SAS. I was trying to teach SAS, so I taught SAS. And yeah, so I definitely used LinkedIn, and people, commented and reacted, and that gave me exposure where the recruiter reached out to me. Yeah, so I was a big advocate once that recruiter reached out to me, and I was interviewing. Like a big advocate of LinkedIn. Yeah.
so like, what do you think it was that really impressed the interviewers on that made them choose you over the other candidates? Like, what were some of the tips and strategies you used on that interview?
I can't tell. I was never told.
They don't tell you. Yeah.
What caught their eye, but I mean, I don't know. Like from my point of view, I would say that I definitely followed up with the recruiter. So one thing I was told in the program and in the software engineering bootcamp, they gave you a career coach to kind of help you along. They said just make sure that you are replying to recruiters on LinkedIn, whether you want the job or not. Just keep the engagement. And so, I mean, yeah, I had an interesting interview and experience where I went through the full interview process, and I didn't get in the first time, and that was like 6 months after I joined the program, and then 6 months later, because I kept following up. It's like, hey, I'm working on this project. Let me know if if something, if the role pop opens up again.
Right.
So I think my follow up was critical, and letting them know that I was interested still, and landing me that job.
Awesome.
But you
So
never know.
like, you getting on the job for the first time, did all of the stuff in the boot camp immediately translate over, or did you have to like pick up a lot of new skills to be ready to go?
Great question. That no, yes. In ways, one thing I focused on when I was in the boot camp was just being able to learn how to debug. So being able to look at code and say, okay, this is what's going wrong with it. And so I feel like I still use that, and I was able to use that initially in joining the job. But a lot of the cut and dry things that I was teaching and learning at the boot camp, it was flipped and mixed around and tossed, and it was something else. I'd seen things in coding files that I've not seen before. So there's a lot there that you have to get acquainted with.
How did they walk you through their code base? Were you given a mentor? Were you given a senior developer to kind of walk you through, or were you just thrown out into the deep?
So one thing I can say about my team is that they're super supportive. I have a lot of smart people on my team. I was able to ask them questions. I'm still able to ask them questions, and they're leading me towards success. So I have no problem there. I had guidance. The first thing they gave me at Datadog was a buddy, which is somebody who just walks you around the office and says like, this is what's here. Second thing I got was a mentor, and me and my mentor first worked on a pretty big. Well, it's a small a website within the larger Datadog, but it's a big project to like work on your first job, right? As a software engineer, which is I built a whole website from scratch using a new technology for the team. Just me and him, and
Wow.
so yeah, and so that was really fun to do because it was something that I could take from my previous learnings. It's like, okay, I can build this thing from scratch. I know how to do that. I can do that.
So what languages were you using to create this?
JavaScript.
Oh, JavaScript. Okay.
Yeah, I'm using JavaScript. The framework we used was 11D, which is a static site generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I don't, at boot camps, do they teach you about like Kanban boards or Agile and all of this kind of stuff, like the actual workflow?
They mention it, but we don't go deep into what the workflows are, and that's probably. I mean, it's probably not necessary. At least it wasn't for me. I find myself pretty flexible in that realm. One thing I will say is that it is important for you to be flexible whenever you're going into interviews and on the job, because the team has their own thing that they're starting. Sorry, that's already established, and you're starting to like look at it. You do bring valuable opinion as a new incomer. You have new eyes.
Fresh eyes. Yeah.
Fresh eyes are super important, but it's important to kind of. I mean, I found like kind of easing in there and establishing what's already established. Like, don't try to rock the boat too much.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting that, like when you first get on, there's already set standards, set way of doing things, and you don't want to come in as a know-it-all. But once they gain confidence in you and, you've proven yourself, then now you can place your stamp down on how things are done. So like once you became more integrated, what are some of the things that you changed?
What are some things that have changed? That's a good question. I still find myself in like the don't rock the boat too much kind of
right.
world, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that question right now.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I will say, I mean, they're like small things. I like making small changes that help a lot of people. So if I can find something small, it's like, oh, you know what, this is going to help a lot of folks. So I'm going to go ahead and one comment that's been given to me is that I've helped establish better, like a new standard. But I can't quite pinpoint what I did in order to receive that comment.
Right.
But yeah, one thing I brought in was, and one thing that's still very important to me is documentation. Document the code so that future you understands what your code means, and also people who are onboarding into your code.
Teamwork. I mean,
teamwork. Yeah.
Really, really jumping in on that teamwork. Yeah.
So like, what are your keys to writing like good and effective documentation?
Overview section. What is this project? If we're talking about a full application, right? Like if we're looking at the README, an overview, usage. How can I use this? If you need to run a local development for this project, how do you run the local development? What dependencies do you need? The project structure, like what are the different folders for? What are the code issues that arose while you were developing, specifically the ones that came up after production. So like once it's pushed out in production, what are some of those code issues that popped up document that so you have record of like, okay, this went wrong because of this, and that helps future users, using the technology.
Can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on what the project is. Um, File wise, always put a a note, a comment over the or under, however, whatever language you're using, add a comment to the code. It should tell you what a short description of what the function does. Uh, it should also tell you the parameters that are being passed into the function, and then the return value if there's a return value.
Wow. So we're talking in depth.
Yeah, pretty in depth. Just yeah.
Because I know, like, when when I was working with code, I used to be a React front end developer,
Mhm.
and the first company, well, I interned first, but then my first like real job was at this company where they sent over their code base. It was in React, and there were no comments, there were no explanations. I had no mentor, no training. They
Yeah.
just said, okay, we need you to build out X, Y, and Z, features.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't even understand your code base. First of all, like,
Yeah.
is there someone that's going to break this down? And they said, oh, we can't take our senior developer off of their job, off of their coding. I'm like, yeah, but what am I supposed to do? I'm coming in entry level. I'm coming in green.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was unfortunate, and I've talked to other people who have had that same experience.
Yeah.
So I kind of crashed and burned. I left that company after 2 weeks, switched into recruiting, eventually switched back into music, and now I've been doing this podcast with Kev for a little over a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty sucky situation.
Yeah.
For you not to have the resources available to like help you understand what the code is, because reading code, I mean, it's hard.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
hard. It's like
You need some comments. You need
it's
some help.
everywhere. You need
Yeah.
something there. Yeah.
Something.
Something there. And yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, especially if you're just using pure JavaScript, not TypeScript, it's going to be
Yeah.
really hard to understand what the parameters are because it's the dynamic language, so you can pass in anything.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, like JavaScript in particular, and Python. I know you can add typing to both of those, but most of the time there isn't. So yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of companies, especially at that time, and it's probably still now, is like juniors almost non-existent. Like technically you're junior, but it's like you're coming in as you have to come in like a mid-level almost. Like you have to know how to read the code yourself. They're not going to have sit somebody down with you, say, "Hey, this is what this is," and it's unfortunate for somebody who's just like really green.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what happened to me. I was coming in green, entry level, and I just fell flat on my face because there was no support. There was no training, no mentorship, no hand holding, message this person if you're stuck, none of that. And I don't know how these companies expect, I'm sure a lot of companies are like this though, unfortunately. I don't know how they expect you to quote unquote, hit the floor running when you don't even have any notes on the code base. So it's all kind of backwards. And, it's unfortunate that there are companies that are like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hurting the company and the developers. So did you do a boot camp or did you go to college?
Yeah, I did a year-long boot camp in Java Spring.
Mhm. Oh,
And then
wow.
we learned SQL on the back end.
Well, that's a good language to start with. What did you think about that approach?
It was interesting. I found Java to be really complex, and you had to compile, and you put one little I want to say musical note, one little like comma or
Semicolon.
semicolon in the wrong spot, the whole program won't run.
Yeah.
So that that was a little frustrating about Java, but Java Spring, a lot of the stuff was kind of smoothed out. But what happened for me is I got out in the market. I finished the boot camp after a year, and there were basically no jobs for entry level Java. All of the Java was mid-level, senior level. And this is back, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, something like that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was an interesting time, it was an interesting time, but ultimately, I went through all the Java material in the course, got that down, had multiple projects finished, so my GitHub was, up to date with stuff. But my mentor at the school basically said, "Hey, you're gonna need to learn React. You're gonna need to learn JavaScript. You're gonna need to learn Angular." And I'm like, "Wow, oh great! I just spent the last year learning Java. Now you're telling me, oh, that's not really needed. You need to learn JavaScript." So that was kind of thrown on me. And what I did because of it is I started taking Udemy courses and just, trying to sink my teeth into this new language because, even though Java sounds like JavaScript, they're very different languages.
Yeah. Java's a lot more formal. TypeScript is a lot closer to Java and C#, but I guess a lot of the fundamentals are the same, but you don't have to worry about all the typing stuff with JavaScript, which it makes it easier to get into, but over the long run, it makes the code base harder to maintain because it's not self-documenting. Whereas when you have types, it is more so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you learn any computer science when you were in the program?
No, really, I want to say, and this was what I would say was bad about the program. There was no prepping on leak code. There was no prepping on data structures and algorithms. So, coming into that fresh, right when I got out of school, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of companies that they're weeding people out by these leak code easy, leak code medium questions. I interviewed, I think it was either Amazon or Google. I can't remember at this point, but it was a big interview, and they had 2 medium level leak code questions. And I just told the guy straight up. I said, "Look, I can't do this stuff. The whole data structure, like I don't understand it. And so he said, "Oh yeah, just try your best, try your best." But I was just like, "Look, man, we could just call this what it is. We can end the conversation now." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And that was that. But I never really, I wish I was taught that from day one because there are, like Amazon, Google, Netflix, like the FANG companies, they're all using leak code to, weed out, filter out people. And then you got a lot of other smaller companies that are they're trying to like mimic FANG. So then they use the whole leak code process as well. What was your experience with that?
So we learned and taught data structures and algorithms a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was really just like a morning lesson. And we would try to incorporate it in like the homework, but most of the time we were building applications.
Yeah.
Like websites. And I had a couple interviews where I needed to do live coding, like solving a problem algorithm. It's pretty tough. Like the questions that they put out there.
And you put on the spot.
Even if like this is what the game is, it's just like, oh,
there's anxiety. Like, yeah. It's like, performance anxiety. You're like, oh, okay, I gotta code this live. I can't use documentation. I can't really reference anything from the internet. They're just saying, okay, figure out this program inside of here, which makes it very difficult when they do that.
Yeah, it's a muscle that you definitely have to practice a lot. That's why people are always like leak code.
Yeah.
There's this other website called Code Wars that I was on. I like Code Wars a little better. It's nice for beginners. If you understand like data structures and algorithms or basic programming, I think that's a good gateway into
right. But, but let me ask, how did you personally learn data structures and algorithms?
Through the program.
Okay.
So for me, it really starts with like, okay, what's available? JavaScript I think it's pretty easy to kind kind of work with data structures and algorithms.
It's less code, less lines of code
It's
than
less
like
code, right?
Java. Yeah.
It's less code. There's also a lot of abstraction, right? Because like they have these methods that are already attached to JavaScript, like a map or a filter or a find. So yeah, so less code.
Right.
Same with Python and Ruby. When you get into the Java world, I don't know. I've tried doing that. You know, I was like, oh, I should learn Java so that I have a broad understanding of programming. And yeah, it's very syntax heavy.
It's a big boy language. Yeah, it's tough.
The compiling process after coming back from like JavaScript and Python, it's like super awkward. I'm like, I just want to run my code. Like,
yeah, what is going on right now?
But it's nice to know that okay, that's what's actually happening in the background with some of these like more how do you say
like legacy?
Well, it's what's going on in the background in the more modern programming languages like JavaScript and Python.
Yeah, I think like the problem with leak code is it's good to have that knowledge of data structures and algorithms, but it's such an emphasis on it that instead of people learning like the totality of software, they're just focused on gaming the leak code system, and you have to spend so much time, whereas you're not learning, security, like architecture, all these other just as important components of software.
Yeah, some people kind of just memorize them and
yeah, it's almost like a video game or something. You memorize the 10 or so patterns, you master it, you just do it over and over and over,
right?
And so you'll blast past the interview, but once you actually get on the job, then you spend so much time gaming the interview that you don't necessarily know how to develop sound software, and I think that's a huge issue.
So you get sent a whole code base ultimately when you join a new job, and okay, you've just been like shredding leak code problems for the past 6 months. How are you going to understand what to do?
Yeah, also, I mean, I've only been at one software engineering company. I didn't have to do a coding interview like that. I did a take-home interview.
Okay.
But there's also a discrepancy from what I understand in like working at like Meta or Google, because you're not doing like these leak code problems all the time. You're building like we're not even building full web apps. You're adding to these already established web apps.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole different process. So I from what I've heard, it's more so like, oh, they want to see how you're thinking, but in the same, they want you to get it right.
Right.
So, and that's what makes it tough.
Yeah, I've heard FANGs are pretty much losing a lot of their luster because the compensation isn't as high as it used to be. They're constantly, a lot of them have the program where they're constantly cutting people, like a certain amount of people have to be put on the, PIP performance improvement plans and, that kind of thing. So it's like you're in a pressure cooker. The compensation is going down. There's so much intense compensation. So it's like people are just going to other companies, which, I mean, to me, that's smart. So like, in terms of software, aside from like data structures and algorithms, what are some of the more important pillars? I know we have like unit testing, linting, code reviews, etc. Like what are some of the other important aspects of modern software in your eyes?
Unit testing your code. What else? I guess I'm on the web ops platform team, and so I'm dabbling in cloud infrastructure, and so cloud engineering is a big field that anybody listening should look into if we haven't already. Just understanding that space, AWS, GCP, and Azure are some of the big cloud providers out there.
Yeah, I think if you want to have like long-term success now, you have to get beyond the pure coding because I know, AI tools, they can scaffold out a lot of that. So
that's the thing. I think a lot of junior roles right now, I know we've talked about this on other shows, but a lot of junior roles right now are being overtaken by AI, because the AI can do kind of all that basic stuff, that basic research that a junior would be, told to go out and do. The AI will go out and do it. So it's like,
Mm.
why do you need this $75,000 a year junior developer? We're just gonna buy like a custom chat bot for $5,000 and call it a night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets things wrong though.
Yeah.
Just like a human does. It does get its solutions wrong. But you're right. Like companies save a bunch of money uh, on resources by just using AI, I guess, or I guess forcing their employees to use AI.
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
I pretty much look at AI as like just a more advanced scaffolding tool, like a super advanced CLI, pretty much. Where okay, instead of just saying I want this blank Angular application, you could tell it more so of I want this Angular application that does this, and
yeah.
it's you know but you as a human, you're a senior developer, lead developer, whatever, you have to go in, verify what it's doing,
Mm.
and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So in some ways, I don't even know if it's really saving companies time, because the developers are going to have to comb through the code to make sure it's doing what you think it's doing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it gets things wrong, and it takes an experienced developer to know that it's doing something wrong too, right? You can't
Right.
blindly like push that code up into a production where millions of people are going to look at it, because something
Right.
will go wrong.
Right. Right.
Something will go wrong,
Definitely.
and you won't know how to fix it because AI did it.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
takes an experienced developer to be able to check on what AI is doing, and it's not human, so it doesn't think about. I mean, you can try to like you know uh, train it, or rather like give it rules, structure to how to code something, but for the most part, it doesn't understand that hey, you are a human. This is how you code, and so I should kind of code like that. Kind of fit in with the team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, AI has grown so like the knowledge, like the application of AI has grown so much over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like it's in everybody's lives every day.
It's incredible. Yeah, like Gemini,
ChatGPT,
ChatGPT, Claude.
Claude, yeah, 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 it's everywhere.
Yeah, I personally try to avoid it. I'm trying to tailor my career around being somebody who understands the system from the base level, from ground up, because somebody has to verify what it's putting out, whether it's compliant with the security, ADA, all of these different things.
Yeah,
And like the thing is, there can also be a cost if it generates something. It kind of looks like what you think, but then you find out it's not, and then you have to undo a lot of this code and restructure. Like if it produces code that at its base core is not really structurally sound, then you're gonna have to undo it, and that could take longer than just building it from scratch. So
Oh, that's
right,
funny.
right, right, right.
there's a lot of a lot of things like that. So
Yeah,
um
gotta be
but
able
yeah,
to
the software
verify
industry it's interesting. It's always nonstop learning.
hmm
That's
Yeah,
what was overwhelming for me coming into it. I'm like, okay, I learned Java. Now I'm learning JavaScript.
yeah,
But then I get on a job and they're like, "Oh, we want you to go learn Figma." And I'm like, "Figma? You hire me as a React developer. Why am I going to go out and learn Figma?" But as Kev would say, you got to be adaptable. You got to be open to learning.
hmm
I wasn't, so I took off.
yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people would have stayed on, learned Figma, gone through the hoops and all that. But for me, I was just going to check out of there.
Hmm. So when you say learn Figma, you're talking about like designing components?
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
different.
Like UI stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I think like in Brian's case, they kind of figure like we don't have a senior, time to give the senior developer to train you on code. So we're gonna give you this alternative path and try this out, see if you like it. Because like once a company hires you, it's a huge like sunken cost or whatever. They can't just like fire you, because they spent all this money onboarding you. So it's like, hey, try this
Exactly.
other thing out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like where do you see the future of the software industry going? Like how are you preparing yourself to handle things like AI and all these other things coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, right now I'm observing. I do use AI every day um, as more of an assistant. It it does help me learn like and understand things pretty quickly because it's right now it's sitting in my I'm using Cursor, and so it's sitting in my text editor, my VS Code text editor. And so I'm able to just like ask it questions real quick about a line of code that doesn't have any comments. Uh, Mostly like Bash script, like I just stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, oh, what is
Yeah.
this doing? It's just a quick way for me to get that answer.
Right.
And I found it being really reliable in that realm. So, you yeah. So I think just being able to be familiar with AI is good. You can look into MCP servers and all of that, and creating your custom rules for your AI. But what else am I doing? Cloud. I'm learning a little bit more about cloud engineering, AWS, infrastructure as code, and just trying to be better, more organized, and testing my code and things like that.
Yeah, let me ask this. So if you were, green entry level, just kind of coming into the industry as a junior right now, what's the number one tip you would give them?
Yeah, be flexible.
Yeah.
Understand that you're not going to know everything. You might not understand like 90% of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But ask questions. If there's someone available who's going to like answer it, ask them questions.
Yeah.
There's it's harder, it's much more out of reach, but people on the internet, like they'll have answers for you. AI now has a lot of answers for you.
Right.
But like most of the time it's going to be the team that you're working with.
Okay.
So ask questions.
I know, like sometimes if you get on a team where they don't necessarily want to help you, also learn how to break down code and try things out yourself. Like for example, if you're in an Angular React application, isolate each component, get just that component running, see what it does, change, different parameters, etc.
Yeah.
And spend a lot of time outside of work actually learning. You have to be really dedicated, really thorough at having like a fundamental understanding, like get to the point where you don't necessarily have to ask someone. It just speeds up the process. Like learn how to deconstruct code line by line and just isolate this little section and run it. And
The answers are always out there.
Well, and like you were getting at earlier, Kevin, someone's going to have to look through all this code that's generated by AI. Who is that person going to be? Probably a senior developer.
exactly, because there's going to come to a point where okay, the initial people that developed this code base, they all left other jobs, so you can't ask them questions. So you're gonna have to figure out what is this doing.
Yeah.
Because you're the new developer coming into this company. All the old people are gone. How do you figure this out? That's a big question.
Yeah, it's wild.
Once you go from company to company, that's something that's a skill that you have to learn. And I'll say like another skill to learn too is don't just live to your role. Okay, like they say, okay, I'm gonna bring you on as a senior developer, but then they give you a task like, okay, I want you to write these Jira stories or whatever. Like, I want you to lead this stand up. You might be like, oh, I'm not getting paid for that. I'm not going to do that. I just want to come in there and code. Like,
Right.
no, they're giving you opportunity to take a more leadership position, and that's going to pave the pathway for you to move higher up. Like before they promote you to a leadership position, you have to look like a leader, and they're giving you an opportunity. So, if they're giving you stuff outside of your role, don't be like, oh, I'm not getting paid for this. Like,
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
you really want to level up, you got to take on these responsibilities.
exactly. Like, look beyond your immediate compensation and look at what this work that you're doing.
Yeah.
How can this benefit you in the future? Like, at my current job, I'm doing stuff other than what I was hired for, which is like Angular. Now I'm on this like new platform pretty much. I can't really go into the details, but it's like, okay, I have to learn a ton of new stuff, and I could be like, oh, why do I have to do this? I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But this is teaching. This is keeping me relevant in the tech industry. Like if I know this brand new stack, all these other opportunities now open up.
Yeah. Like I get excited when I'm asked to do something that I haven't done before. I'm like, ooh, nice. I get to like put something else in my tool belt.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So yeah, anytime you get the opportunity to.
So like, how do you avoid? I know that burnout is really prevalent in the industry, especially since you have to spend a lot of time outside of work learning things. Like, how do you manage yourself psychologically so you don't get burnt out?
You have to communicate that with your team, right? You can't burn out in silence, right? Because that's going to be inevitable for you to continue burning out. So, kind of talking to people about how you're feeling, talking to friends, is communicating. Also, having an outlet, getting away from the computer. They say you're supposed to like every 20 minutes, like get up and like look away or something like that, right? For like 20 seconds.
Yeah, something
I don't
like
do
that.
I don't do that, right? I'm too stuck here. But occasionally do get up and stretch, move around, have an outlet. Like for me, I'm a singer, so I create art, songs, and yeah, I think that's pretty much what you have to do.
Can you go a little bit more in depth on your singing and songwriting?
Yeah, I'm a singer and songwriter. I have been singing since I was maybe 13, 14 years old. Started in chorus in high school. I remember I did band in middle school, and I snuck into the chorus room because this looks more fun.
Let me do this instead. Yeah,
I'll do this instead. The teacher was like, "You're not in this class." So
what are you doing?
Yeah,
yeah, right.
But singing has been a part of my life since I was about 14 years old, and I create songs. I have an EP that's on Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon, and all those streaming services. Came out back in 2017.
Oh, nice.
It's called Appreciated. It's a 5 or 6 song project. The genre is soul, R&B. I'm currently working on new music. I have about a 12 to 14 track project that I'm working on. It's being mixed by my friend out in Virginia. His name is Tyler Donovan. He's a very talented rapper, producer, designer also.
Awesome.
What's your artist name?
Stefon Simmons. Straight up.
Yeah.
I've created projects where I go by the moniker of Sound.
Okay.
And so that's like my alter ego / kind of internal being, if that makes sense. It's I don't know the words to put to it, but it's like who I strive to be in a way. Sound, mind, body, and soul.
Awesome, man. Do you find a lot of similarities between constructing music and software, or is it just like something completely different?
I get that a lot. I think it's slightly different. There are a lot of musicians in software engineering, so there's something there.
I've noticed that too. Yeah, I've noticed that.
That connects us. Is something maybe about the way music is kind of organized but creative.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the connection. Yeah.
I think there's a language of music. You're taking these little pre-constructed, I guess, sounds, or like in terms of code, it would be like bundles of logic, and you're just constructing them together to create something. In music, you're
Yeah.
sort of doing something similar.
Yeah. Like every reusable function is like a pattern. It's in the melody.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I like that.
And so, like, did you find like that's like the perfect balance? Like, coding is really logical. Music, you get to you like more of that creative side.
No, yeah, I like both. I think it creates a nice. It's just what I would like to do with my life.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my grandma said that you should be an architect because I like math. So ultimately, like the theme of my life seems to be building.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, same here. So yeah, like, do you really plan on pursuing the music thing as well? Like, if it starts gaining traction, is that something you could really see yourself spending a lot more time doing?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would love to dedicate more time to making music, expressing in that way, meeting great people who are musicians and collaborating. Yeah, would love to do that.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of musicians on the show, and something that, a similarity between most of them or all of them is they'll say music is not a linear journey. It's not a linear path. You might have this great gig lined up for 3 months and you're getting paid a lot and it's fun and you like the people you're playing with, and then it ends. And then you have nothing for a year.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
4 years,
mean?
4 years.
For me, I was the session player out in LA, and all of a sudden I hit 30. And a lot of people, they don't want to hire you if you're older than 30, which is kind of extreme ageism, but at a very young age in music. So I everything dried up for me and I ended up moving back east.
Wow. Have you had better luck in on the East Coast?
I've mainly been focused on teaching out here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Do you also like record your own music? Like produce your
Yes.
own music?
Yeah, I have in terms of compositions, I make video game music
Oh, that's cool.
on this
Yeah.
device called the Korg EMX1 Electribe. It's like this blue, they call it a groove box. So it's a drum machine, synthesizer, and a sequencer all built into one device.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really cool. How long have you been using that for?
I started doing that in maybe 2009, and I have maybe 4 EPs released on Bandcamp. It's under the name Blue God, BLUEGOD, 2 words. And I have a full length that's ready to be mastered, but I'm waiting on doing that because I want to do it really well, and
Yeah.
I really want to save up to be able to do that at a really high level this time. Not that I haven't done it at a high level previously, but I want to make sure this really comes out good. So I'm waiting on it.
Yeah. Cool. How did you reach out to your master engineer?
Oh, sorry. Come again?
Oh yeah. How did you reach out to the engineer who's going to do the mastering?
Oh, I found someone locally, just through kind of like word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
So, like, with your music career, like, what is your strategy? Like, what are your next steps to really get that going?
Next steps. So I'm interested in doing more like background work. So I'm putting out this project as a way to kind of I guess sell myself in the songwriting space. I didn't produce any of these beats; they're coming from other producers. So from a songwriting perspective, I'm trying to put myself out there and see if I can get into some sessions with some artists. Kind of have fun there. Yeah. Also, I'm interested in that sync licensing. I feel like that would be great.
That's a huge market right now.
Yeah.
Have you done any live performances?
Ever? Yes, I have. It's been a while, but I used to have this gig in NYC with my friend Max Gallico, who's a guitarist. He teaches guitar also. Uh, uh, we had a gig on the pier. I think it's Pier 85. I forget the pier number, but it was a beautiful gig out there. We did it 2 summers in a row. I think it was every Friday. Uh, Watching the sunset, performing for over 100 people. Um, yeah, I used to frequent open mics a lot, also. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But as I switched over to software engineering, and also the pandemic, it's kind of died down. So this project is kind of reintroducing me back into this space. And it's been a while since I've expressed myself musically, so I'm really looking forward to the world hearing it.
I think the pandemic really, it did a number on musicians because a lot of us were making our money on the road. We're making our money touring, and you can't tour during a pandemic. So I think that really devastated a lot of musicians out there.
Yeah, yeah. I've had some friends who ended up doing a lot of planning during that time for how to like kind of come back after it.
Right.
A lot of people also did like a lot of social media um, community building. So they would do these live shows. That's how we had verses and things like that.
Right.
Um, yeah. So it was always outlets, and in some ways it helped kind of bring more exposure to them because they were able to get in contact with these like big names out there via like I feel like a lot of celebrity artists had these what do you call them, like these contests. And so, friends would go on there like, "Hey, listen to my music. Here, listen to me sing." Things like that happen a lot. So,
Yeah, like how do artists typically, like if you're a smaller artist, how do you get noticed on, especially online on social media? You mentioned the contest. Like, what are some of the
you,
other ways?
you gotta let me know. I don't know. I am not so good with that. I am in the music making, and I'm pretty much focused on that. The exposure and marketing side of it, I am pretty bad at. But uh, yeah, let me know if you
I
figure
think
it out.
that that's part of the problem. A lot of musicians, we really know our instrument. We really, really know
Yeah,
our instrument, but we didn't go to college for marketing.
yeah,
We don't have a master's in marketing, and people expect you, oh, just go learn it, but it's not that easy. It's not that simple.
yeah, yeah. So I've been following a couple of friends who are doing this, and they're doing it at I would say a higher level, right? They're creating their brand. They have their logos and they're like videos that they put together and things like that. They have a team around them who's making the designs for the artwork and things like that. Sometimes I'm just rolling. I'm rolling solo dolo on a lot of this, right? Um, and So what I've learned from them is that it's kind of just kind of putting yourself out there. Like this is me. You have to be able to put yourself out there. One, right? But all the time.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. So so
Like you mentioned, it takes a team. Like it's hard to do everything by yourself. Like, okay, you're making the music now. You got to go market it. You got to go network. Like,
yeah,
Yeah, you need a team for
yeah,
sure. If you want to take it to that high level, you
hmm
definitely need a team.
it helps. It helps. Yeah, for even getting shows, um, uh, photo shoots, because like their network becomes your network now.
Right.
And so that broadens that out even more. The opportunities are vast. Uh, so
like speaking of networking, like how do you effectively network? Let's say you meet another cool musician. Like what like how would you actually deal with them to make sure it's like a fruitful
yeah,
transaction, or not transaction, but a fruitful like connection versus just somebody that's like, oh hey, what's up, man?
Right.
yeah. So how would I approach another artist?
Yeah, yeah. How would you make sure like that's like kind of like a mutually beneficial networking experience? Like,
Well, I don't know if I need to make sure. It usually is a connection there. So if you've done the work yourself and you have something to show, you can let them know, hey, this is what I have. And most of the time when I'm communicating with another artist, because I've already done something on stage or I've put something out there. And so now it's just like, oh, I've seen what you can do. You've seen what I can do. Do we like this? And then you exchange information. And then if you have something that they can get on or something that you want to collaborate with, then it happens. Yeah, but I mean, this communication, yeah.
And it can be tough.
It
can be tough getting people. It could be tough getting people to show up. I remember, when I was out in LA doing the whole session thing, I would hang out with my buddy and just kind of work on, to be a session musician, you got to be able to play everything. Mm-hmm. So we would, just kind of get together and jam on all different styles like hip hop, soul, R&B, jazz. It was just a situation where we were getting together regularly and we're going over these different tracks to kind of ready me as a session musician. But, a lot of the time when we're just hanging out, we'll try to call up a bassist or text the bass player like, hey, you want to come jam with us? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll be there in 30 minutes. No show, no call. Then the next week you find someone else. Oh, hey, oh, yeah, dope. Yeah, for sure. I'm coming by. Yeah. They don't show up, no call, no show. So we got to the point where like, all right, we're not going to use a bass player. We're just going to do drums and guitar at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people don't show up. So it's unfortunate, but you want it to be a certain way, but they think differently. and so you kind of just have to like roll with it, I guess. But I like showing up for music. I'll show up every time.
That's great.
Yeah, maybe y'all can end up collaborating. Brian, he's a drummer, so who knows?
Oh, Brian is a drummer.
Yeah, I'm a drummer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brian is. I didn't say he needs a drummer. Yeah. Brian, you gotta send me your stuff, man.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're getting to the top of the hour. Brian, did you have any final questions?
I guess, yeah, we've talked a lot about software tonight and music. And I think, I'd like to go back to one of my original questions, the green person, the person who's entry level, just trying to break into computer science or break into the tech industry. I think you had mentioned, be open, be adaptable. But what would be a second tip that you would give an entry-level person?
Yeah, don't forget, communicate. I think it's been said that you should also take your time and look up what you need. Take those classes. What would be one big one that I would share? I don't know. Bring yourself to work.
Yeah.
Bring your creativity to the job.
Bring your energy.
Bring your energy to the job. Like I said before, you're new, but you have a lot of new. A lot of people get very used to their bad ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And so your new eyes can be like, hey, there's actually a better way to do this. Or hey, I don't understand what this is even doing. We should write documentation on this.
Right.
So bring yourself, bring your ideas.
No, that's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man. And before we get out of here, where can our audience find you?
You can find me on, music-wise, you can find me on all the streaming services, Spotify, Stefon Simmons, that's STEFON SIMMONS. I have an EP called Appreciate It. If you just wanted to check out my website, that's stefonsimmons.me. And you can check me out on LinkedIn. Everything is Stefon Simmons for the most part.
Awesome,
man. Yeah, we appreciate you for coming on the show. We have to get you back sometime.
Yep. Also, if you've never been before, there's this conference called Afrotech. I've never been before, but I'm going in October. It's a large conference in Houston, Texas, for the Black community, and its allies to join in and celebrate each other, meet, network, connect. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. And yeah, we also like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
All right.